All right, I'm going to do a bit of a code challenge this morning. I was watching this video on YouTube. It's a mock coding interview with Dan Abramov by Ben Awad. Awad, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyway, and these guys are both pretty into React development, JavaScript. They're big YouTubers and kind of experts in the field. I've been looking to level up my JavaScript skills and just thought I'd try and do um, the exercise that they're doing here. I watched through part of the video up to where it got to kind of this brain teaser coding exercise, uh, I guess called Down the Rabbit Hole. And it intrigued me enough to try and solve the problem for myself. And even though it looks impossible, with a few hints from Ben, um, I was able to come up with a strategy, which is probably not the best method for doing it, but we'll work through this and I'll see how I go. So let's go ahead and start. So the first part of this exercise is they want, or Ben wants to test a little bit of CSS style sheet skills. So he's got this simple React application, and he wants you to center this in the box. I'll just skip ahead. I don't want to show the video, but I do want you to see the starting point. All right, so here we go. We have this React component, and it's in some online web editor that they can share, I suppose. Just a really quick warm-up exercise. You've got a React component. It's got a style sheet, and we want to take this default object with no styling, and we want to add styling to make this div, this box, centered on the page. I was able to do this fairly well with a bit of help. I'll show you what I did as well as the sort of challenges I ran into. So in order to test this out, I don't know enough React to set it up locally and to kind of simulate the environment that they've got. Move my papers out of the way. Get ready to code. I just typed React Code Online. And you can see Code Sandbox is the one I chose. I've used Stackblitz before as well. All right, so we bring this up, and what I want to do is, you can see I already been through. I'm just going to create a new sandbox, and I'm going to use React, and it's going to create a simple React app that I will actually be able to code online, and that I'll be able to, no, I don't want to import GitHub. I'll be able to code online, and I'll be able to see my results right here on the screen. Close this out. So we've got Hello Code Sandbox, right? So in order to do this, I'm just going to copy what they've got. I'm going to just type center me, right? And now it has this import styles.css. So it's centered horizontally, but not vertically. Let's go ahead and wipe this out. All you can see, all it says is choose the font family and text align center. So we're going to do this. Now, this was fairly easy for me to get close. I didn't quite get it perfect, but the reason why is I've been messing with Flexbox pretty easy. So let me warm up my cold hands on this morning. It is below zero, 6 below zero this morning, and anyway, so you want to go display flex, right? There's display inline, there's display block, there's display inline block, and for several years now there's been this display flex, which allows you to create flex boxes that you can grow and shrink and order in different ways. And this is the easiest way I know of doing this. Obviously, people were able to do this previously, probably with some relative positioning and I don't know, some hacks in CSS. But this is kind of a tricky thing to do without Flexbox. Okay, so you say display flex, and now you're using Flexbox as opposed to inline elements, format across the screen, left, right. My picture is flipped. But anyway, inline goes across the screen, block goes down. So like a span element is an inline element. A div element is a block element by default. Of course, you can change these and you can screw up everything that has to do with CSS. Well, not everything, but a lot. You can change everything, and that's what some of these resets, CSS resets, try and do, is make a little sense. So we got display flex, right? And then what we want to do is, so to justify content, right, you can center that. And so that horizontally aligns me. There's several other options. For instance, there's justify content, and this code editor is going to help. We can do like flex start, flex end, and what that is, you can flex either rows across or columns up and down. So that's flex start. If your default is columns, it would be the top. If it's rows, which is the default, then it would be the left-hand side. Anyway, camera's mirrored. So justify content, we want center, not left, not right, not flex start. Anyway, and then there's also space around and space between. So space around is you've got a setup where you want to go around the box and space elements all around it, or space between, or space evenly within the box. Those are some other options. Or to stretch. We don't want to mess with any of this. We just want to center. So as you see, we do this, we save it, and it centers horizontally. Now, here's the next sketch. You want to align items, and we want to do that center as well. And that will vertically center it, but there's a catch. The problem is you need to like align self, I think. Well, I don't know. Since it's a text area, it doesn't matter. But the challenge here is we've got a width problem, right? Block elements are, by default, just one row of text or whatever, high. And you can see this, I'm going to add a border, right? I'll make it 2 pixels just to make it easier to see. Oops, there's the code interview. Go back to here. Solid red. All right, so we can see that, and we can see we've got some spacing around this. This is, well, the body by default has like a margin around it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take the body and set margin to 0. And you can see that pushed it to the edges of this display area, right? And, but the problem we have here is, well, our body element only consumes this much. So first thing I thought is, well, what I want to do is I want to maximize my width, right? So I can say 100% width and height, 100%. Go with 200%. If I can press the shift key, and that doesn't work. Well, it's because my element's too small, right? Now I could go here, and I can do height equals, right, I can say 500 px, my element's this big. And just to see, I want to put a border around my body too. To be a solid green. All right, so we can see here we've got a green border and we've got a red border, and they kind of, let's go blue. You can see it like blends the colors, and it kind of pushes it off the side here. So that's a little bit concerning here. Yeah, whatever size we are, it goes a little bit off. So I'm gonna make this bigger. So we've got a baseline here, right? And for my item here, I'm gonna add a margin of 10 px. Maybe I'll just make the height of it 50. That's big enough, I think. Yeah, height and width is 50 px. So I've got, well, let's go 100. All right, so I've got this blue box is indicating the body, but it's, as you can see, I scroll right and left. It kind of screws up. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But another thing I can do is I can do like my width. I want it to be my my viewport width, right? So my VW. And for the height, I want to do vertical, or not vertical, my view box height. So, and you can see here we've got some bad overlap here. Oh, that's because I don't want this height to be here. I want this to be. So it's saying make this the total viewport height and make it 10 pixels to the side is what that was doing. What I want to do is instead of doing percent, I want to do viewport height and viewport width of the body. So now the body, it's not fitting in. Is that because I adjusted the frame and it's going from? No. So what this is saying is give me 100% of the viewport height and 100% of the viewport width. I imagine my borders and my margins are running into this issue. So yeah, it still doesn't fit in there. What happens when I resize? Same sort of thing. Resize and reload. All right, I said it was easy. I lied. Toggle responsive preview. Open a new window. So we're clearly not we're not getting 100% of the viewport height here. Let's go ahead and eliminate our borders, although that's not the issue, and get rid of our margin on this. Let's go back to our non-thing. Okay, so we've got our body border. It just overlaps the edge there. And maybe there's something outside of this. So I do body, comma, HTML. Nope, it's still outside. So we can see we've got our 2 pixels outside, and it doesn't quite get to 100% of the height. Maybe it's here we go. What is it? Is it border box? No. Box sizing is border box. So normally things are measured from the inside of the box, as opposed to, or the inside of the border, right? It has margins, border, content, or margins, border, padding, and then content, right? So that's the normal display. Border box says display it from, I still think it has something to do with messing up the display here. Oh, here we go. I've got my vertical width, or my viewport width, and my viewport height mixed up. That was that issue, at least. All right. So you can see we've got a little bit of a challenge here, and what this is this is our borders, right? And what I want to do is I want to say margin. All right, so we've got this, and we've still got a little bit of horizontal scrolling here, and I assume that's the 2 pixels of the border here. So one thing we can do is we can calculate that, right? We can calculate, now we want this -2. And this is a CSS pseudo function. So we're subtracting 2 from the width and the height. And now we've got this, and at least we don't have any horizontal scrolling or vertical scrolling. Maybe I need -2px. -2px pixels. All right, so now, yeah, that's what it was. Now we've got it. It's horizontally centered, but it's not vertically centered. And the reason why is, that's clear, because we need it to flex the body, not just the content within it. So if I move these items out of here, and I move this here, and now I don't have to compensate for the body, so I can actually remove that. Save it, and now we're centered on the page, and I'm looking closely. I think it's centered vertically, and there's no overlap here. Anyway, So this looks like the solution to me. Oh, I wanted padding, not margin. Just like that. So that we've got our centered box within our other box. And we could do this within something else. So I could go my index.js. I could have I could have a div, and then we'll do style equals position absolute, and then top we can go 500 and left 500, border 2px solid black. All right, so we can get this, and then it's giving me some error here about not having my app, not having a closing tag. I think I've got a comma here that shouldn't be there. Maybe I can move this outside. Oh, closing tag, was that all it was? All right, I think I can move this back inside this strict mode, which I don't know what that is. Maybe that's just something for the coding tool. All right, I need to back up and see what's going on here with this. I'll capture that. I must have typed in some garbage here. Oh, okay. So root element, that's the locator here. So we're getting an element, the root element, and we'll find that in our. I guess we don't have an index.html. But it's got a root element. It's finding some element by ID, which is root. I think it probably has to do with this code share thing. So it's saying place my, or render my React component within the root element. So it's a function. Here's the arguments. The first argument is this JSX code, which is what's going on? Some weird pounding going on. All right. Anyway, so we've got a React element, React DOM render. It creates this JSX element. So the Babel parser, or Babel, parses this raw HTML and creates a bunch of JavaScript print statements, essentially document, write line, that renders this element. Well, it's not exactly. It has like the virtual DOM and all that. Anyway, so it parses this raw HTML code into strings that JavaScript can manipulate. And then it says the second argument to render is the node here, this element that we're doing in document get IB, append it to that node. So it's doing, element append node, right? So we can do root element append child, and the child that would append is whatever the result of this render is. All right, so we've got this here. Let me try again to create a div around my app, because what I wanted to do was demonstrate Uh, okay, so I guess the problem here is the inline style. Um, Style is probably like reserved for React, so I need class name instead of class, right? I'll call this container. And we still don't see this, right? But then in the style.css, I will also add a container, dot container for the class name, and then I can add all my properties here. And we can see here, let's add a padding around this. All right, so here we've got our container, and we can, so I've got absolute position on this. I can move this, right? I can move this to top 100 or 100 and left 500. Oh, I've got a problem with my index.js. Refresh. All right, so it's centered within this element wherever I put this element. If I move this to the left 200, doesn't seem to be picking that up. Maybe because it's not re-rendering this. Oh, it's because this element is centered too, so I'm positioning it relative, or why does it say position absolute? And it's absolutely rendering it 100 and 200 pixels left of that. So what if I do like a negative 400? Is this going to go up? No, it's not registering my position. What if we say position relative? What if I change the color? Make that green. Okay, so that does go green. So it is reading my CSS. And oh, I've got something that's not working now. Is it the position relative? Yeah, that was it. All right, what I was trying to do here was demonstrate how what I would need to do is I can flex this instead of my body. I'll still keep my body here. Let's make that yellow so it's easier to see. Huh. Okay, it wants to format that. Why does it have this other box around my container? Okay, I want my my body stuff. I want all this here. Okay, so now I've got a full size deal. I need to move display back into here, or else we'll get my border whatnot. Okay, so now I can demonstrate if I do position absolute and top 400 px and left 400 px. Now that's more than 400 pixels, but the idea here is that my center me will be centered within its container box, right? I guess that is, where did we go? 200 to the left. If we go 100 left, yeah, we see part of it on screen. So it's positioned relative to my container box instead of relative to the body. That really wasn't part of the issue, or part of the challenge. But anyway, so that's how we do it. We can center a container, center it on the page. And rather than doing this here, I'll move it all back into the body. Display flex. Now I've got everything screwed up. Just delete container there. All right, so we've got it centered on the page as we wanted it. Okay, so that's the CSS challenge.